mamas, welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. My name is Elizabeth and I am a mom of 4 kids. I have 3 boys and a baby girl. My goal here is to help you reduce stress in your brain so that way you are more patient and calm with your children. I know how hard it is to be patient with your kids, especially when you are running on empty and you're so overwhelmed and stressed out. That's why I really want to teach you ways that you can reduce stress in your brain, reduce stress in your nervous system so that you can be more present and patient with your kids, so then that you can meet their emotional needs and be the mom that you want to be with your children. Hi mama, if you've been enjoying listening to the episodes here and you want to connect more with me, I would ask you to go on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most, and I am under Emotionally Healthy Legacy. Also, if you want to work with me, I have 2 options. I have one-on-one coaching, and we go deep and we personalize exactly the things that you're struggling with and ways we can improve your life and move the needle forward. I also have a membership for moms. That one is only $39 a month, and we get to focus on one topic a month. We meet twice a month via Zoom. We support each other. We encourage each other. I check in with you. We have accountability. You are a lot more likely to implement things in your life when you have accountability and you show up for it even every other week. So if you want to learn more about this, the details are in the show notes below, and I would love to have you there. I would love for you to be in this community. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm good at, and I am so excited to have you be part of it. Hi, mamas. Welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. Today, I have a special guest for you. Her name is Kyra, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Kyra, and she is a mom who knows a lot about ADHD and what it is and how you can support yourself and your children if family members in your family are experiencing that. And I'm so excited to talk to her today because I feel like that is something that's happening in our family with one of my sons. And so I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this field, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So my name is officially Dr. Kyra Gutierrez, and I know that's a mouthful. I am a mom of 3, and I am a chiropractor, but I also practice Eastern medicine in my office, as well as a bunch of nutrition. And then I teach part-time at a little private school here locally in North Texas. And I also have a podcast called the Wholistic ADHD Parent Podcast. And the reason for so many hats is probably because I myself have ADHD, and I just tend to be a little scattered in my focus and what I love doing. And instead of choosing one thing, I chose 5, which is beautiful when you're self-employed and can make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with the ADHD journey with my own children, and I have a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Oh, okay. So you have a big gap in there.
I have a gigantic gap. And for my time with my older kiddos, I was a single mom most of their life. And one of them had been diagnosed with ADHD, the inattentive type, which we used to call ADD, and that's not a thing anymore. And the other one was diagnosed with ADHD hyperactive type. And I, as a single parent with her own business, had no resources and very little support, and what we were getting for them at the school wasn't incredibly helpful, and it just set me on a journey of how to support them better. What did natural medicine have to offer? What did Eastern medicine have to offer? And I've come into all of this with, my years of experience with them, and then all of the doctor work that I do in the office to better support parents. And that's really where my heart is, because I, as a parent, did not feel supported. And I don't work individually with students. I work with the mamas and the daddies that are in the trenches with them, that are really supposed to manage their support group for their child, but no one tells them that it's their job. and nobody tells you who should be on your team. And no one
Yeah.
tells you to look that you may think your child has ADHD, but did you also know that there are classic symptoms in the gut, that if the gut isn't healed, your gut will produce neurotransmitters that go to the brain that mimic ADHD, and it's actually a nutrition problem, or it's a sleep deprivation problem. There are several things, and we can talk about them today if you're interested.
I would love to talk about it because I really like the holistic approach to things. I'm not into
Absolutely.
the modern medicine. I'm like, if there's a holistic way to solve something, I definitely lean towards that direction. I avoid medications. It's just not my thing.
Well, I can really meet you there because I believe for myself and my family and my patients, what I talk to them about is try the holistic things first. Give enough time. If you're not making enough traction, medication done correctly, done in a specific amount of time for a specific reason can be a very good thing. But don't jump to that. Don't let it be a knee-jerk reaction, and don't let it band-aid problems that are not going away. So I actually have one child that is not medicated and one that is. So personality really plays into that. Buy-in is huge. If you are trying a natural method with your child and they're in those teenage years, or they're just super independent and strong and they're fighting you at every turn, sometimes medication is where you got to go. If you're in a split family and parents are not agreeing on how to handle it, that can also play in. There's so many complications and hurdles to this. I just really feel like parents need someone in their corner cheering them on, because our children's lives get bypassed. My little tagline for what I do in the office, or I'm sorry, online, is I help parents stop the chaos, reclaim their kids' childhood, and nourish their whole kid. Because I really believe you have to parent all of your child, not just academics and behavior.
Oh my gosh, 100%. So can we start out with what was going on in your home, and what brought you to even take your kids in to see if they have ADHD, and what were the signs and the symptoms? Can you kind of tell us what was happening so we can get kind of like a picture, and we'll go from there?
Absolutely. So in our where to start, my children.
So how old were you when they got diagnosed?
They were kindergarten and second grade.
Okay.
And they were diagnosed in the same year. And I actually did some work with Scottish Rite Hospital here in North Texas to make that diagnosis. And I think that's a very big thing parents are unfamiliar with, and they are not sure how all this works. So getting a clinical diagnosis of ADHD can be very expensive. I think right now the going rate is between $1,800 and $2,100.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes out of pocket.
Wow.
A lot of times insurance won't pay for that. So you can have your child tested through the schools in some states, and I can't speak for anywhere other than Texas. You can do that if they qualify, and each district is different. What I did is I applied with Scottish Rite and was put in almost like a lottery system, but it was free, but they choose you. You put in an application and cross your fingers that it's going to go through. And it did for us, which was amazing. And then they would sit down with each child individually, go through a battery of exams, and then sit down with parents and talk about, okay, here's what we found. And we took it back to the school. A lot of times schools will employ therapists of their own to do these testings. It really just depends on where you live.
Okay.
Most of the time, they're not going to test until second or third grade. And we really went that route because my kids' teachers were telling me that my daughter, my oldest, would be in class and then she would be off here. And she would have missed everything that had happened in the last 5 minutes.
Like zone out.
Totally zoned out. But she had great behavior. And
Mm.
that really made them think, well, maybe she's not, maybe she's fine, because her behavior is excellent. And so she hid for years. But she had a real hard time focusing. My son has a very hard time staying on task. We would give him a very simple chore to do. Unless you were right there hovering, he wouldn't do it.
Mm.
No, very bad eye contact. My son had terrible snoring. Like it would wake you up across the house. His snoring was so bad. And we actually took him to an ear, nose, and throat, and they found that his adenoids up in his sinus had almost occluded the entire nasal cavity. They went in and took him out. And the difference in him was marked because he wasn't literally getting enough oxygen. So it helped, but he still had ADHD. He still had other things. The other thing I want to tell you, parents, and no one has ever said this to me, but I've found it to be true 100% of the time. ADHD never happens by itself. It always has something else that comes with it. It can be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be dysgraphia, it can be oppositional defiance, it could be a whole gamut of things, but it is incredibly rare for it to happen by itself. So if you see your kid having a hard time with impulse control, having a hard time listening, having a hard time to calm themselves, all of these things, maybe ADHD, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, sometimes why they wait until children are a little bit older to test.
That would make sense. Can you tell us a little bit more what other signs and symptoms like your kids experienced like during like day-to-day life at school? Like, I mean, you said your daughter would zone out. What else, like things that would happen at home that like made you question and, you decided to get them tested?
Sure. Well, for us in our situation, we're a blended family. And the stress of that can also be very common with ADHD kids. That's not every case by far. That wasn't the case with me growing up, but it is something to think about. The changing back and forth between homes can be disconcerting for a lot of kids. And then you add in an ADHD, they just can't handle it. My kids, one loves organization because it feels safe to her and she feels better, but my son couldn't keep up with a folder or a piece of paper to save his life. No organizational skills, no care for how it looks. His writing was so bad that we had him learn to type at a very young age. And then I bribed him to do a handwriting class that actually taught him cursive. I bribed him with a bagpipe, y'all. I bought the boy a bagpipe because he really wanted to play one. And I really wanted to be able to read his writing, but the connection between brain and hand for him was so poor that you couldn't read a thing he wrote.
How about like emotional maybe dysregulation, getting easily overwhelmed, easily triggered by noises or anything like that? Was that something that your kids experienced?
Absolutely. The noise thing, especially, I remember so vividly. They do not like going to the movie back before COVID. And when we were going to the movies, they did not like it because it was too loud. They do not like fireworks. They do not like concerts. They don't like it even if we're in a church service and the music gets too loud. Neither of them handle that well. Lots of sensitivity to food. Lots of sensitivity, not just to the texture, but both of them have gluten sensitivities. And that's one of the things that came along. That's one of the things we really worked on. And I saw a huge difference in nutrition with them when we cleared their gut issues. And that can come with ADHD, that can come by itself. That can be almost like a generational thing. The gluten is a big deal. Dyes. My son, and I know I talk about Dill a lot. He knew even in pre-K that if the teachers gave him a purple candy or a purple snow cone, he was going to get his behavior chart turned to red. And he knew that he could not eat purple things because they turned his behavior chart to purple, his body couldn't handle it. And he would have meltdowns. Teachers used to say he had an inflated sense of justice for everyone else. And so he was super sensitive to that. A lot of it coming from the teaching staff, and me developing a really good relationship with their teachers was super helpful. When the kids were very young, like kindergarten, first grade, and it was a very small school they were in, if my son was overwhelmed and having meltdowns, they would actually bring his sister from another class and let her rub his back and calm him down. He's very tactile. And so I started finding little things that would help after school if it had just been a really rough day, instead of turning to food, which plays into things I'm working on in my adult self, is don't turn to food. Let's find something else. I would take a hot hand towel, like get it wet, but get it hot, and wrap it around his face, but let his nose and his mouth stick out, but his eyes were covered, and just sit there with just that heat on his face. It's sensory deprivation, and it calms that sympathetic fight and flight nervous system down to where kids can calm again. Having them float in the pool was really big when they were little. Actually, it's big now. If they're having a rough day and it's cold, we do Epsom salt baths. But in the summertime, they've got to spend time in the pool every day, not swimming, not splashing, literally floating, so nothing is touching them and their system can calm down. And we see that in the world. Flotation spas, those are a thing for adults, but we don't talk about it for our children. And it's such an easy, low-cost thing. I see them do better in the summer. Even with my daughter in college now and doing summer school, with the flotation, with the Epsom salt, she does better.
Okay, so can you tell us what exactly is ADHD and what is going on in the brain? Because I think that will be helpful to understand. Like, it's not like, a lot of times we think like, well, something's wrong with my child, like, and they're sick or whatever. So tell us exactly what it is and what's happening, and then we'll go a little bit more about like how it affects their day-to-day life.
Sure. So ADHD has become a little bit of a blanket diagnosis for a lot of different things. Most of the time, what you're looking at is executive function, that they cannot control their selves, their physical selves, but also their thought process, that they can't make good decisions, and they're not even rational about a lot of it. So how does that show up? Well, that depends on your child. A lot of times that is, they daydream quite a bit. They're very smart, and that's something they don't believe because they don't fit into our little cookie cutter school systems that make them sit in hard chairs and focus on a whiteboard for hours. And thank goodness not a lot of schools are in that anymore, but they don't fit into that cookie cutter stance. They're very fidgety. They've got to move. Most of them are kinesthetic learners. And so when they move, they're actually learning. And you may think they're not listening because they're over there bouncing a basketball, but actually they heard everything you said. They're incredibly creative kids. And I think a lot of that is coming from them having to figure out from a different, let me explain it like this. Here we go. I knew an analogy would come to me. Imagine a computer processor, like in the old days, if you ever did DOS, and I know I'm dating myself, who does DOS, but you would have a line of code and a line of code and a line of code, and that is how the computer program works. Well, in a kid with ADHD, they have a line of code, and then they hit something that pulls them over here, and now line of code, back over here, line of code, up here. Their brain literally is all over the place, can't work sequentially, and so it looks chaotic. It feels chaotic. They have a huge disconnection between their brain and their body, and so you've got kids who have problems with bedwetting, things like this, where they can't control their bowel movements, and it's because their body's sensory system can't tell the brain, hey, I gotta go. Like that message never gets up there where they can make a conscious decision of, oh, I've got to go to the bathroom. Just never makes it. And so if you have system messages coming in that aren't making it, your system messages going out are not going to be correct. So
Okay.
there's a lot to that, right?
There is that
There's a
sound,
lot.
yes, that there's like, it's like a whole new world of like learning,
It's
and
mhm.
just like figuring out, like, so I have a son who's 7 years old, and he, I know he's highly sensitive. So
Yeah.
he feels things really deeply. But
Mhm.
we talk a lot about feelings in our home. We talk about like when we get really angry and what to do so we're not hurtful to others. And so if like outside of the moment, if I talk to him, he knows exactly what to do. He'll tell you. But in the heat of the moment, he gets triggered so easily. If somebody's making an annoying noise, if somebody took his stuff, and it's so impulsive, he just reacts so quickly. He like freaks out. And it seems like in a split second, it goes from 0 to like 180, and he will like hit.
Mhm.
And if I try to like get in the middle and stuff, I'm like, you may not hit. This is not safe. He just like it like turns into rage almost. And I'm right here, and I'll be taking deep breaths so I don't get triggered, right? Because like that's super
Right.
triggering for me. Anger feels unsafe. And
Mm.
so, and like he'll come from school, and he like before he even like he walks through the door, he's already freaking out and screaming at his brothers, and it becomes really overwhelming. Homework is such a battle. Like sitting down and
Yeah.
doing homework, I don't want to. It's too hard. He looks at this
Right.
page, and he has this writing that he needs to do, and like he gets so overwhelmed, he'll just like throw his pen. He's like, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. And like it can become so overwhelming and stressful. And like it makes me wonder, I'm like, because my older one is not like this at all.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, what is going on? Because
Sure.
I want to support him. I want to
Mhm.
help him. And he's one of
Right.
those kids that like he needs alone time, he needs extra sleep.
Yes.
He like when he
Yes.
gets overstimulated, he'll close his ears. The other day we were talking about visualizing like a peaceful and calm place, and he like was so excited about it because I'm like, you can go into that peaceful place anytime you want. Just
Mhm.
pretend that you're there, close your eyes, and like pretend what you hear, like birds. And he's like in the middle of the woods is his peaceful place. And like he's just a lot more sensitive when he's happy and like excited. It's like all in, or when he's upset, it's like all in. So it
Mhm.
makes me just wonder, I'm like, is there something more going on? I know he's highly sensitive, but I wonder if there's more. And I'm like, how can I support him? Because I feel at a loss. I feel like I'm doing everything I know with emotional
Right.
regulation and teaching him and being like there with him in the moment when he's having a hard time. But it just seems like it becomes too much sometimes for me. Like I can only
Right.
handle so much.
Well, and I think, first of all, I think you must be an amazing mama because you
Oh,
know
thank
your
you.
child so well. And that's just so admirable. And I love that about you, that you really, I can just feel how much you love him and want to champion him. And it's very possible. And we see what wonderful potential they have. But the overwhelm can hit it, it can happen quickly. And so one of the things I work with parents to do is create environments that are non-stressful, and non-verbal cues are huge for my children
Mm,
because I cannot spend my life nagging them. It
yeah.
makes me cranky, it makes me feel like a horrible mom. And I can't spend my life nagging them, reminding them, helicoptering them. It's bad for the family, it's bad for everyone.
Yeah.
So, working on a lot of nonverbal things, some of that can be essential oil usage during homework time just to clue their body into, hey, it's time to focus.
Mm, okay.
Sleep with essential oils. So you don't have to believe in them for them to work. They work without you having to believe in it. It's amazing. Even if you're just using it for placebo effect, it's very calming. Making sure you're not painting their bedroom red. Red is such an exciting color, and it's really inflammatory for their nervous system. You want to calm their nervous system. Clutter is a huge thing to fight with ADHD kids, and they create it themselves, but the more there is, the more stressed out they become, the shorter their fuse is. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time.
I don't like clutter. I don't like loud noises. I easily get distracted. Like when I'm working from home, I'm like, oh, laundry. Oh, I should, load the dishwasher. Oh, that's right. I should make my bed. Like
So
my
true.
brain is all over the place, and it takes me a while to get focused. And then if I get distracted, it takes me a while to get refocused. I'm like, do I have this too?
Maybe so.
Maybe that would make sense. I'm also like super high sensitive, like just like my son. I get overwhelmed really quickly, and I have learned ways to support myself because I know that about me. Yeah.
Well, and the exciting thing is you know that to be true for you, and you can help him find his triggers. And that's amazing. It can get a little sticky with a sibling that doesn't have anything like that, and they just naturally learn well, and they naturally are academically inclined. That can be very hard to mitigate the sibling rivalry. And also a lot of ADHD kids have massive balance issues. That's maybe something to look at with your child, is how does he do balancing? Because the disconnection between right and left brain and their brain body, they have a real hard time with it. So I do a whole series of exercises.
I've never noticed that with my...
Does he ride a bike?
He does, and he does well. And he even, what's that thing that they have? Hoverboard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he does really, really well on that too. So
keep him on it. That is fabulous for their brain activity. That anything where they're balancing, even a balance board, or really juggling, anything like that, really good for them. Yo-yos are amazing.
So can we talk about some things that we can do as parents? So if you are suspecting that you have a son or daughter who has ADHD, and they are like easily overwhelmed, they are easily distracted, like big emotions, right? Really impulsive, have a hard time controlling their emotions. What are some things that we can do as a proactive thing? You mentioned like not coloring their room red, doing calming things like taking them to the pool and having them take a bath to calm the nervous system down, doing practices and things that like not having clutter, like having essential oils. What are some other things that you would suggest that parents can even start implementing today and see if that will, help a little bit to kind of calm some of that chaos, right? Like, like that's what I feel like. I feel like my son, as much as I love him, like he does create a lot of chaos. And if he is having a good day, I feel the rest of it, like home, is so much better. When he's having a hard time, it like permeates everything else, So.
And that's you reacting to the emotions in his little heart. Yeah, that's hard. And the other kids feel it too.
Yeah.
Sure. So the first thing I would say, if you suspect your kid has ADHD, is educate yourself on what is available through the school systems to help. What does their process look like? Call and ask the school counselor for a meeting, just so you can ask, how does this look? If this is something we need, how is this going to go? So that you're not overwhelmed or wait too late, or just so you have some facts. Second thing I would do is really focus on good sleep. Really good sleep. Start noticing, does your child wake up at night at the same time every night? Are they one of these kids that goes to sleep just super fast and then an hour they're up? Can they sleep 40 hours a day? What does their sleep look like? And there is music you can play in their room that's just instrumental, that has the right tempo and frequency that will help their brain calm. But if they're not getting good rest, they're not getting good cognition. They're just not. So really focusing on good sleep would be big. Third thing I would do is I would start looking at getting some food out of their diet that is inflammatory to them. Number one thing is food dye. I cannot tell you that it's not the easiest thing to remove because you will not believe where it is in your food. It's in spaghetti sauce. They have to make it more red if you're buying canned spaghetti sauce. It's in ketchup if you don't buy the natural one. It's in a lot of places, but it's a great starting point to start moving them towards feeling better and include them in the process.
Okay. So what kind of food dye like are we looking for? Like I know like there's like yellow and stuff. Like are we looking any food dye or specific one?
I would be you asked me good questions. I am adamant about anything with the word lake in it. If it's a blue lake or a red lake, those are big no-nos. They have a high aluminum content. They're just awful. In a lot of countries, they're illegal, but they're fine here.
Yeah. I mean, like I buy Whole Foods and stuff that I buy. I'm really good with like looking at the labels and what goes into it. So, but I noticed that, around Christmas, I noticed my kids eat a lot more sweets just because, grandparents get more sweet. It's Christmas season, you get more candy. And I feel like I told my husband, I'm like, I feel like they're jumping off the walls. They're just insane. They feel like they're going crazy. And I told him, I'm like, we really have to cut this down okay, so tell us, how does the food dye make ADHD worse, like the symptoms?
So that is a whole like 3-hour conversation. So let me make it super short and give you a resource.
Yeah, like a simple description.
Yeah, there is a book by a doctor. His name is Nemechek, and you can Google him. You can see his free videos on YouTube. Nemechek is his name, and he's phenomenal. The book is a short read, but it's super sciencey. Some of you may love that. Some of you may hate that. I think mine's all tattered and marked up like you wouldn't believe. But he gives the best explanation for why the dyes inflame the intestines, why gluten makes your kids look like they have ADHD even if they don't, how the leaky gut and the different biotics, probiotics, and prebiotics work into it. And it is so good. It's like $16 on Amazon, worth every penny. And that would give a better explanation than I can give without charts and graphs.
That makes me wonder because we do eat a lot of gluten in our home. Honestly, we do. I mean, they have sandwiches to school every day for lunch.
Sure.
We do have spaghetti at least like once a week. And so, and like I feel like we have, bagels, also like on a regular basis. And once a week they have cereal and stuff. So, and pizza. Oh my gosh, we have so much
when you start looking, and it's in a lot of places you won't suspect, it's in soy sauce. It used to be I haven't checked in a while, but it used to be in Colgate toothpaste. It's in dog food. My oldest kid is so sensitive to the gluten. If a dog licks her leg and the dog had dog food with gluten in it, she will break into a rash.
Wow.
So we went super extreme, super fast to help her. And even now, we started that when she was 2 and she's 19 now. And she still, you can see on her skin almost immediately when she cheated. And it shows up on her skin almost immediately, but it shows up in her fatigue and her brain fog about a week later.
Okay.
So
interesting. Okay. So looking into gluten even contributing to some of the symptoms.
Absolutely.
I will have to do some research.
And if you have questions, you email me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So a bunch of light bulb moments for me that are going off right now.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
let me leave you with some hope though, because this can be super overwhelming.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Give me hope.
This is why I just don't go it alone. Don't go it alone. Find a group of moms. I'm supposing I'm talking to moms, but it might be dads too.
My podcast is my moms.
Are your moms?
I don't think any. I'd be surprised if any dads listen.
It could happen.
It could happen. But I feel like moms tend to be the ones that are like trying to figure stuff out. We'll see what's going on. Try to implement some changes. For the most part, I feel like moms are the ones that do that.
Sure. So moms,
Yes.
surround yourself with women that support you.
Mm.
Not women who capitalize on the hot mess mom thing and, oh, life's just a crapshoot and then we're just getting through the day.
Yes,
Do not
we
pollute your life.
unsubscribed from that.
No,
Subscribe.
none of that. Surround yourself with some support, some solid support, some other moms who are going through ADHD who can have friendships for your children. ADHD kids struggle with friendship because they're prone to lie, and lying makes terrible friends. It just does. They don't keep their friends because they have trouble sometimes with the truth. But if you have another family with an ADHD kid, they get each other and they have grace for each other where another neurotypical kid might not. So having some support and some friendships for them is big. I love what you said earlier about how you have to not let yourself get triggered when your child is having their moment. That is huge, because if you lose it, everything is just done for the day. It's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it's okay. You're going to be okay. It's recoverable. It's repairable. Deep breaths, mama. Reach out to your support group.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing parents really need is to intentionally schedule some things about their child's childhood. We are responsible for the memories they have as children. So and I promise this won't be a huge rabbit trail, but when my older two were young, I used to try to make Christmas the most amazing Christmas. And I put off all this effort and it was completely unappreciated and nobody cared. And I was left angry and resentful and, well, y'all just didn't deserve all of my hard effort, just ridiculous. But I started asking them, what would make a perfect spring break for you? What would make a really fun Christmas for you? What would make this summer super fun? And it surprised me so much because they would say, well, a perfect summer would include going to 2 new snow cone stands and riding 3 new water rides and having a picnic and running through the sprinklers outside and going to Mimi and Pop's house. Like, really? That's it? Yeah, that was it. And so start being intentional about creating some memories with them, because these years are quick. Mm-hmm. I know in the middle of it, it doesn't seem like it, but I have perspective with my 19-year-old and my 2-year-old. Years are quick. Be intentional. And that way you get those important things done and you can take the pressure off the rest of the time. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to look a certain way or be a certain way. So,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you tell us where our listeners can find you and what kind of support you offer for parents?
Oh, sure. So, my website is my first name, Kyra, Kyra, and then Practor, Practor, kind of a play on words because I'm a chiropractor and my name is Kyra.
I love it.
You just can't get away from that kind of advertising, and you just can't get away from that. So I just embraced it instead. So that has a great description of different programs I offer, different support I've got. I've got a class up right now on mastering oils for ADHD. And then I have something on there called the Simmer Down Method. And it's basically how to hit the really big points of ADHD support in about a week. If you can stay with me 2 hours a day for about a week, we go through all the content. It's actually quite a bit. And it's all on there. Also, that links into the podcast. I'm at the Wholistic ADHD Parent Podcast, and you can find that pretty much anywhere podcasts are played.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking about this. And I'm okay, I think this is what's going on with my son. It just makes me really question things and open my eyes to my job as a parent is to support him and not make him think that something is wrong with him, that he is messed up.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so I want to find ways where I can come alongside him and be like, I'm here, I'm on your team. Let's find ways to help you.
Beautiful.
Yes. And so,
beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
welcome.
for coming.
Hey Mama, in the show notes, you will find all the ways that you can connect